Little 30 seconds to Mars there for you. Get this day kicked off. Good morning again from Denver. This is Jason Worley filling in for Jim Pfaff. I am the president of Broomfield 912. You can actually visit our website, www.broomfield912.com. We need to talk real quick. I'd like to look at this segment as a look at truth. I pulled this article last night. It's from November 23rd. I pulled it from my favorite website, the Huffington Post, which, let me tell you, I'm going to have to kill Jim for making me go on there just to find show material because I think I lost brain cells. It's almost as bad as watching any reality show on VH1. The head of the AFS-CME, and I'm going to mess that up, so I'm going to give you what it stands for real quick. The American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Union. Okay, this is the guy who I'm sure is going to be partially responsible for unionizing those TSA representatives when they get mad at the public for hating them. Which, I got to be honest, we really shouldn't hate them. I'm sure there's bad apples. We shouldn't be mad at them. We should treat them very politely. They are stuck in a bad situation. I would hate to have that job in the first place, much less with having to... I can't imagine they enjoy patting down an 82-year-old woman who is complaining, not happy. Just let your mind wander as to how bad the situation can get between kids, people who aren't friendly, people who just... I can't imagine how bad that job must be. So we do not need to hate them. We do not need to treat them badly. We do need to question, always question, why are we doing this though? Let's look real quick. I want to talk, like I said, I want to talk about truth. This article is from November 23rd. Gerald McEntee, if I'm pronouncing that correct. The headline is Pre-Thanksgiving GOP Vote Disgusting. It says, 2 years after the financial collapse caused by right-wing deregulation and corporate greed. I'm sure Fannie and Freddie had nothing to do with it. Free money had nothing to do with it from the Fed. Unbelievably low interest rates. We didn't create a huge bubble and then corporations rightly, I'm saying rightly as far as smartly as they could do, tried to figure out ways around it. I mean, their job is to make a profit. Their job is not to love the people. Wall Street is handing out its biggest bonuses in history, more than $144 billion. I'm not going to defend Wall Street banks. If they raise the money, if their people earned it, hey, I'd have to look at each case directly. But this guy's obviously putting up a straw man to go after, this whole vote, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. At the same time, millions of hardworking Americans are struggling to feed their families, pay their bills, and keep a roof over their heads. It's true. Millions are. Is it because of Wall Street? I don't think so. It may have something to do with it, but honestly, I think the government screwing things up and taking money out of the economy, creating a bubble, overtaxing people, it might have a little bit more to do with it. Spending us billions and trillions into debt billions on a daily basis. Here we go back, and the situation is set to get even more painful in the month ahead. Millions of Americans, 2 million in December alone, will be cut off from unemployment insurance. Now, what he doesn't mention is 2 million Americans in December alone are going to be cut off the 99 weeks they were on unemployment insurance. Now, unemployment insurance is there, and there's probably people who would say it's a great thing. We do pay into it. So yes, I believe we should be able to take advantage of it. Should we be able to take advantage of 99 weeks of it? Or, as some studies have come out and said, does it cause people to maybe not go back? Maybe find slight underemployment. Maybe say, hey, I can make as much on unemployment as I can on working at delivering pizzas, as an example. The problem is when people... That money has to come from somewhere. You didn't pay in enough to get to 99 weeks. Now, the truth here, this is where we want to get to truth. Unemployment insurance gives a powerful boost to the economy. Okay, you could argue yes or no. Go back to the 52 weeks, you could argue yes or no. It creates jobs. Not so sure about that. I would actually say it takes more money out of the economy, which hurts jobs. Families that receive unemployment insurance that put money straight back into the economy. There's absolutely no question they do. They have to survive. They have to subsist on something. They spend the money on essentials like food for dinner, winter clothes for their kids, and heat for their homes. Yeah, they do, absolutely. That money still has to come from somewhere. I love to use, my favorite picture is, in Colorado we can really use this picture right now. In fact, I saw our friend Kelly Marr just said she's going swimming down in Arizona. Picture that pool. Okay? Take a big bucket and imagine dipping that bucket into the deep end of the pool, walking all the way, let's say it's a 30-yard long pool, walking all the way across. Now you're going to slosh some water out. There's no question. It's going to hit the ground. That water is going to be wasted. And you're going to go to the shallow end and you're going to dump that water back in the pool. Okay. Think about that for a second. Literally, close your eyes and think about that. Have you gained any volume in the pool? No. What you've actually done is wasted a bunch, sloshing it off to the sides. That's what the government does, taking tax money from small business owners, from you, the individual, and then redistributing it through unemployment benefits. Now, it's just a fact that the best time in America, the best absolute golden age of industrialism, the golden age of invention, the golden age of our economy, was from right after the Civil War through the First World War. Why? I would argue one of the reasons was because we kept our government spending as a percentage of GDP under 13%. Right now we're getting awfully close to 25%. That's not good. I believe Charlie, our producer, was talking to me earlier, and he said that he had heard a study that says, and it was on Jason Lewis last night, one of my favorite talk show radio hosts, said that for every dollar you take in taxes, the government spends $1.50. Why? They cannot help themselves. And I believe that goes for Republican and Democrat alike. You did not see, you haven't seen the government shrink under Republicans at all. I'm sorry. Go back and look. It may have grown at a less quick rate, but it absolutely did not shrink. We're going to have to make some really, really hard choices here, folks. I mean, there's no question it's coming. We are going to have to make some hard choices. You're going to have to decide whether you want Medicare and Social Security continue at the level they are, or you want a housing and urban development. You want a Department of Education. You can't do both unless you want us to collapse, to see Ireland, when Ireland's getting a bailout from the IMF, which is a lot of our money, and the European Union. Great, great, great idea. But what happens when we go down? There isn't anybody to bail us out. I mean, you really need to remember that. We do not have... There's nobody bigger than us. We are the world's engine on economy. Now, China can say they are, but I'm not buying it. China has more problems. They have a whole lot of hungry people. The amount of people living in poverty there is more than we have in our entire nation. So that is a slight problem. And remember, their poverty means a shack with 20 people living in a room, not air conditioning, a car, cable, and Nike or Jordan store everywhere. Sorry. Now back to our good friend Gerald McAtee. This, I can't imagine what study he found that says this, but it boggles my mind, and I would love to hear an economist talk about this. Every dollar spent on unemployment insurance creates $2 of economic activity. Excuse me? Seriously? No. That's not possible. I mean, it goes against, that's worse than Keynesianism. That's just blather. You can't take money out of nothing and put it into something and make $2 out of $1. It doesn't work that way. Math doesn't work that way. We are a rational people. We should be a rational people, I should put it that way. One of the problems we have is that there is an issue with truth right now. We do have an issue. I want to go on. We've got some sound here, Charlie, from last night. Bill O'Reilly and Whoopi Goldberg. And this is on the subject of truth. Listen very closely to this, because I want you to listen when the idea of truth, when a fact comes up. Just listen. Okay, perfect. Thank you. That right there is one of the major problems we're having in this country. There is such a thing as fact. There is such a thing as reality. Madrasas exist for Whoopi Goldberg to pretend that they don't. To say, oh, I'll take your word for it. Well, number one, she doesn't take his word for it. She won't take his word for it because anybody who's on the multiculturalist side, which I actually think Whoopi Goldberg, I'm very glad she's honest because a lot of people will hide the fact that they don't believe in simple, basic truths. They don't. I mean, political correctness has gone too far. Middle Eastern Muslims have madrasas where they teach children to kill Jews. This is the truth. There was another segment that wasn't in there where she said, well, when you say that, it makes little Muslim kids are going to get beat up. And Bill O'Reilly went right back at her and said, really? Because there's a study just out that there's a much greater likelihood of you being picked on, bullied, and beaten up if you're Jewish. And she says, I don't believe that. Okay, you're right. There's the problem. If we as Americans, if we as people don't believe the truth, where do we go? Where do we go from here? We're going to go into a break. This is Jason Worley filling in on the Jim Pfaff Show. I got to read out the number here in a minute. Oh, okay, good.
Having fun?